I want to talk about how to deal with students of differing opinions that you think are just fundamentally wrong in how they view the world. This is a problem that us professors have to face all the time because people come into go into the education system with many priors, and we work really hard to think about what those priors are. We've gone on our own journeys many times. For me, I grew up in rural Ontario, and I went on many different journeys along the process of coming to terms with my own views, politically or in many different dimensions. And frankly, I just believe in kindness at this point, and believe in focusing on things of helping out other people. And ultimately I've become stronger with thinking about who I am as a person, that I want to represent kindness and things that you would say, hey, actually that's pretty decent. However, you run into a lot of people that don't view that, and they have many different views on how it actually works, and how the world actually works, for example. And so the way that I deal with this, and it's a challenge for me to think about this, and I view everybody as students that I run into, right? Like, I'm pretty active on social, and sometimes people follow me that I'm like, I don't know if I necessarily believe that, what they're saying. But the way that I think about this is that I'm not going to win anybody over in one moment. That's not how things work, right? What you have to do is continuously talk it through. And as people listen to what you're saying and what you represent, sometimes they come around to how they change their own view of the world. And they think about what is going on with your life. And the way that I'm thinking about it is, I am trying to hopefully mimic and sort of display the world that I wish other people to follow and think about. And that's the challenge, right? Is how do you get people, because they come in little snapshots, and they come often very emotional, angry, and all of those kind of things into your life. And, ultimately I can only do what I could do, and I just talk. That's one way that I can get my thoughts out. Now, if they come into your life and they exit out of your life, and they don't really, they come in very quickly and they go out really just as quickly in a heated way, I just have to say, good. They just weren't ready for what I am about to say and what I represent, and they have to come around to it. And sometimes they don't come around to it, and the problem is them, not me. And I need to remember that, and I tried to focus on that it's really nothing to do with me and how they're feeling at this moment, because there's something that's going on. They truly feel hurt, and they feel emotional and all of those kind of things. If they're not ready to listen and they're not ready to come around, I got to remember that the problem is not me, it's them that's actually dealing with this. And as you are going through this, remember that it has nothing to do with you. As long as you're representing, trying to be a decent person, just common values that we would all say, hey, wait a minute, that's actually what I want to represent. Things like kindness, things like working hard, things like, hey, if somebody was down, I would like to actually help them out. I don't want to push them down even further. General things like that it would be hard to say that those are not real human connecting points, rather than looking at these sort of big abstract things that we sort of get disentangled on, like who's on the left and who's on the right, and like, who the hell cares, and what does that even mean anyways most of the time, right? Like, all of that kind of stuff is nonsense. You actually have to look at what is going on in the nitty-gritty. You have to look at what the institutions are actually doing. What are the actual levers that are going on? Now, these are really tricky and difficult questions, right? These are really difficult things. They're often sort of tied with our identity as we grew up with a certain way of the world, and those are emotional to us. And if you're not at the moment where you can come around and sort of rationally question things and think about things a little bit more deeply, then you're just not ready. And so it would be good for you to actually not be there. You have to soften a little bit by the time you actually sort of think about things. And if you go into it thinking like, wait a minute, my world is about to get changed. And trust me, my world gets changed almost on a daily basis. I view the world so differently. I can view it as like, man, I don't even know what the world works and how it works anymore. It's one thing of sort of maturity as you go and you sort of see the world and you experience it and you learn about it, you begin to realize like, ooh, what a mess. And that is reality, right? You're understanding the complexities of the world. And I think we need to take a step back and say, as I do this, the only thing I could do is talk. The only thing I could do is coach people through. And if they listen to enough of me and get the underlying of what I'm trying to get at, they might understand it a little bit more. And they might sort of come across and believe in themselves. They might believe that the world, it is harsh, it's tough, but you can do it. You can follow within the sort of domain of the system and all of those kind of things, but it is tough. So you really need to believe in yourself, all of those kind of things. As I tell this story, as I talk about myself and what I've gone through, hopefully other people can understand and actually what it takes to actually get there. And yes, I realize that I have had many things that are lucky in my life in many different ways. I had amazing parents that taught me many amazing lessons that many people don't have. But hopefully, as I talk and I share and I'm part of your life, you become to know that, hey, wait a minute, there's other people that are in your pocket. And I think that is something that's really important. All right, with that, keep up the good work. Get going and get after it. All right, take care. Have a wonderful day.